Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation, and what's going on, sports fans? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones, and welcome to another collaborative edition of the Gumbo Pot and the State of the Saints podcast. The podcast and the State of the Saints, where we talk New Orleans Saints, and the Gumbo Pot, where we talk about some of the hottest topics in all the sports. Before we get started, I ask that you hit that like and subscribe button. Shouts out to everybody checking these podcasts out today, whether you're listening or watching on the Gumbo Pot, or you're watching or listening on the State of the Saints. Really do appreciate it. On this edition, we're going to be talking about the New Orleans Saints and the Dallas Cowboys games, the 44-19 beatdown of the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to be getting into that. We're also going to be talking about quarterback Derek Carr and do the Who Dat Nation owe Derek Carr an apology. And I want to show you what was the motivation behind doing a segment and a topic of that magnitude, because I got to tell you, probably 30 minutes before the show started, that wasn't the direction I was going to go in. It was going to be a simple final thought show and basically just breaking down the game. We're also going to be talking about some of the hottest topics that happened in week 2, the controversial ending to the Cincinnati Bengals and Kansas City Chiefs game. And what does that say about the National Football League? And what does that say about the Cincinnati Bengals? And then also there's a game tonight. We're going to be giving our predictions for the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Atlanta Falcons. We're going to be talking about that as well. But, of course, want to give a shout-out to everybody in the chat that's watching this live right now. Shouts out to all of you. If you just so happen to roll up on this channel, you not too sure about this channel just yet, just go ahead, listen for a little while. If we won you over, go ahead and hit subscribe, but we just ask that you hit the like button in the process. And on the State of the Saints podcast, we do something we'd like to dedicate to the people that don't catch the show live. You know, maybe they had something else to do. Maybe they were at work. Maybe if they're in South Carolina somewhere, they're dealing with this inclement weather because of this tropical storm. Whatever you're doing, okay? We appreciate you stopping by after the show is all said and done. So, shouts out to them after show boys.
Shouts out to them after show boys. Shouts out to them after show boys. They be tweet and be post. They be tweet and be post. They be tweet. Yeah, them after show boys. They be tweet and be post. They be tweet and be post. They be tweet. Yeah, them after show boys.
Shouts out to all the after show boys, after show girls out there. But let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about the New Orleans Saints and the Dallas Cowboys week 2 matchup. Everybody thought that the game was going to be competitive. It was not. The Saints absolutely put foots in them boys. 44-19. Absolutely embarrassing performance by the Dallas Cowboy defense. The New Orleans Saints took them boys behind the woodshed and ended it all, right? I mean, it was embarrassing. The fact that the Dallas Cowboys were riding high, no pun intended, going into AT&T Stadium, and it was their first home game of the season. The Cowboy fans were excited. They had the whole regular season home winning streak thing going for them. Dak Prescott, got the new contract. CeeDee Lamb got the new contract. You got yourself a new left tackle, a new center. I mean, things were looking really good for the Dallas Cowboys. But unfortunately, you got to play all of the games. And it doesn't matter what you did last week. It matters what you're doing on that day at that time. And the Dallas Cowboys, they did not look prepared defensively. Offensively, they were able to move the football. But when you combine the fact that they were actually kicking field goals and the Saints were scoring touchdowns, I don't need to tell you how that game went. I look at Dak Prescott. I went back and I checked out the game. I think that he played all right. I just think that they fell behind the 8 ball. And unfortunately, they couldn't play catch up because the defense couldn't make a stop. But the Dallas Cowboys, they got humbled. I think their fan base got humbled to a certain extent. Just made them realize that, hey, they got a lot of work to do. The fact is, the Dallas Cowboys are always going to be a high-profile team. That's just the way that they roll. People are always going to put them on prime time. They like to kind of pan the camera up there when the team is losing, seeing what Jerry Jones is looking like, seeing what his emotion is. He's drinking water. He's sipping yak. He's doing all these different things. I know it's great television. I don't know. It gets a little old. I mean, even MASH and Bonanza went out of style at one time or another. But all in all, the New Orleans Saints did what they needed to do. They went up in there and they ran the football effectively. They were able to set up the play action pass, big splash plays down the field, big 35-yard pass to Chris Olave, 70-yard touchdown to Rashid Shaheed. They were able to do whatever the heck they wanted to do. Alvin Kamara ran the ball, caught the ball out of the backfield for a touchdown. This guy was all over the place. 4 total touchdowns, 3 rushing, 1 receiving. I think it's fair to say that he will be the FedEx Air and Ground Player of the Week. Who else should be up there? I don't see anybody having a performance like that. If you have Alvin Kamara in fantasy, you won a lot of money yesterday. And, this is a positive thing for the New Orleans Saints. Everybody's talking about the New Orleans Saints and how amazing the offense look, and they're the team to watch and all that kind of stuff. It's funny how, everybody was kind of writing this team off, saying that, they were going to be last in the division, 4 or 5 wins, this, that, and the third. Now, all of a sudden, everybody just, coming out the woods and talking about how great they are. You even got Colin Cowherd, who have been on record saying that the Saints were going to finish worse than the Carolina Panthers. And then I was listening to him last night. You can tell he don't know what he's talking about, because one of the phrases that came out of his mouth is the Saints draft really well. So that pretty much tells you everything you need to know about that. But all in all, the New Orleans Saints, they look impressive. But which leads me to this topic of conversation, right? The question is, do Saints fans at this stage owe Derek Carr an apology? Do we need to apologize to Derek Carr? And this actually stems from Kay Adams. Kay Adams, a very well-respected journalist. Everybody knows Kay Adams. She seems like I never met her in person, but she seems like a beautiful spirit. She's always optimistic. Her days of Good Morning Football, she was one of the staples there, kind of made that show what it was. She decided to kind of branch out on her own, and she's kicking ass right now with a new podcast and show Up and Adam. But she was talking a little bit after the game from the Dallas Cowboys and the New Orleans Saints. She was talking a little bit about it, and she basically kind of, I guess I can call it like a little bit of an outcry to Saints fans to give Derek Carr a chance. Check it out.
And while Kubiak's been phenomenal, I do want to say this. There's a lot of, how do I say this? The Derek Carr, I'm disappointed in Saints fans because I don't think it's helpful to hate on or blaspheme or quit on or be mean to your quarterback, even though maybe he didn't handle things the way that you wanted him to, or he should. Like, it doesn't help anything to not support your quarterback. I would say that to Panthers fans about their quarterback. I would say it to Bears fans that might be a little disgruntled this morning. It's not Caleb's fault at all. I would say it to Giants fans with their quarterback. Like, it doesn't help the confidence. It's not going to do any good for you, right? So that was my sort of take when I went down and I was sitting next to Derek Carr a month ago, interviewing him, saying, what have you done differently with Chris Olave? What have you learned? Tell me about, you're now settled. How does this feel? And I got so much bad commentary from Saints fans saying, piling on, he's not the guy, get rid of him. I got to tell you, every Raiders fan that I run into, every Raiders player, ex-player, talking head, whatever you want to say, man, I wish we had Derek Carr because we have the defense here. Man, I wish we had Derek Carr. We missed Derek Carr. I'm not saying anything about Minshew. Minshew's figuring it out. Like, business happened the way that it happened. But Derek Carr's a great quarterback, especially when he has protection. Derek Carr's trying to be better, trying to make these things. Support this guy. So I want to say, as much as we're talking about Kubiak and his effect on this team, he gets his flowers, but he doesn't get all of them. That's what I want to say. Because before Kubiak ever stepped a freaking foot into New Orleans, Derek Carr is saying he feels more settled, the chemistry's better. And by the numbers, this is true. So give your quarterback some love this morning and stop giving him shit. I'm so sick of it. Take a look at this. Derek Carr 6-1 over his last 7 games, going back to last year, leads the NFL in touchdowns last year, and passer rating over that span. This is not with Kubiak. 19 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions now. Nobody wanted to talk about it. Nobody wanted to give him his love. He was figuring things out last year. Adding Kubiak obviously is going to take it to another level. And by the way, be really fun. This was a bit of a womp-womp of an offense to watch last year. And now I can't take my eyes off of it. I'm at a sports bar in New York yesterday. All these things are happening, and I'm like, Aaron Rodgers isn't even on the field. Like, nothing's going on there. Giants operating without a kick. I was glued to this game because of the eye candy, the madness that was going on. And the Saints are the first team to put up 91-plus points, guys, through week 2 in 15 years. 15 years. They're the 4th team to do it in the entire Super Bowl era. The last team to do it, it was this one, by the way. Does this one look familiar, Saints fans? The last one before that was 1971, the Cowboys, who went on to win the Super Bowl, by the way. I'm not saying all this is going to happen to be kind of cute because the Super Bowl's in New Orleans and all of that, but what's going on is historically special right now. Enjoy it and know that it's not just one person. And you should give your quarterback a hug. That's what I think.
All right, so she said a lot there, but look, I think people missing the entire point of why Saints fans feel the way that they do about Derek Carr, or have felt the way that they did about Derek Carr. Because in a grand scheme of things, I guess if you're like an outsider on the outside looking in, it just looks like people are just hating on Derek Carr. Here's the reality. When Derek Carr was signed by the New Orleans Saints, everybody for the most part was happy. I was happy. I was like, man, this dude with this completion percentage, he had 33 four-quarter comebacks. It just seems like, okay, if you put him in this offense, maybe they'll have something that, that was missing. The fact that the Saints really didn't have stability, it didn't seem like Jameis Winston was really Dennis Allen's guy. It just seemed like, okay, this was a perfect match. So, of course, he gets signed and everybody's happy. Like, okay, man, now we got some stability at the quarterback position. But then all of a sudden, out of all this, you start off 2-0, and then all of a sudden, you start having these issues. People are talking about the injuries and everything like that, but it's beyond that. It was the fact that it seemed like dude was really going at players when he wasn't playing his best. We know that, okay, Chris Olave is a mainstay. You got guys like Eric McCoy. You see them yelling, going back and forth with one another. Of course, Saints fans are going to ride with the individuals that was there the whole entire time. Like, dude was an outsider. You can't just come in and be like, okay, man, I threw these many yards and these many touchdowns, and you're coming to an organization where for the last 15 to 16 years, New Orleans Saints fans, they had a look at arguably the greatest quarterback that ever played the game in Drew Brees. And we see Drew Brees didn't really operate like that. He wasn't yelling at guys. I'm pretty sure there was issues where, Drew Brees, clearly somebody messed up a route and he ended up throwing an interception or something like that. But you didn't see that from Drew. We seen Drew Brees throw 3-4 touchdowns, and we know for a fact the defense let him down that week. And he goes to the podium and says, I got to get better. And when you come from that and you see a guy that kind of doing some blame deflections, and the reason why this ain't happening is because we ain't doing this, that, and the third, and not really putting it on himself, like, people are going to look at you a certain way because they're going to question your leadership qualities. People just make it seem like, oh, people just automatically from the rip had issues with Derek Carr, and that's just not the case. But when you operate like that, like, you're going to turn people off. Here's the thing, folks. Confidence in a person, a thing, has to be earned. If you're married right now, you had to instill a level of trust in your mate in order for them to feel like they are worthy or you are worthy of them. If you go to a job, you have to prove to your bosses or the job itself that you are worthy to continue to work there to get a paycheck. If you are a quarterback in the National Football League, it don't matter what other people are saying about you. You have to prove yourself worthy of the support of the Who Dat Nation or any fan base that you represent. There's so many quarterbacks that have come into the National Football League with a lot of fanfare about people talk about what they did in college, what they did as far as, winning a Heisman Trophy, winning all these different awards and stuff like that. Like, we hear all these different things, right? But when you come into the NFL, all those accolades that you had in college means absolutely nothing. Like, so you have to go out there and you got to prove it. But when dude was out there, like, going at Chris Olave, when Chris Olave wasn't even, like, his whole route was just to basically run the cornerback away from who the actual target was. But you're going at him because you made a mistake. And like I said, we support those guys because those were homegrown guys. So it's not like people were just hating on Derek Carr just to be hating on him. But, you got some people out here that just feel like, oh, man, Derek Carr, like we gave him, we was unfair to him. I don't think we were unfair to him. The offense that they were running last season was not very good. And it's fair because here's the thing. In week 1, the Saints blew out the Carolina Panthers. Hear me out. The Saints blew out the Carolina Panthers. What was the narrative? It was a 47-10 victory. What was everybody saying? Oh, man, that's just the Panthers. That's just the Panthers. They didn't really beat anybody. Panthers are horrible, which we see the Panthers as of right now are horrible. But when you look at the fact, why wasn't Saints fans really giving this dude his comeuppance, his flowers, or what have you, right? You beating up on the New York Football Giants last season, or the Giants, still to this day, are they a good football team? Absolutely not. So you kind of have to have that same mind frame like, it's the Giants. Just like you said, it was the Panthers. The Saints beat the Panthers last year, 28-6. Once again, it's just the Panthers. The Falcons were on their way out of the freaking door. Okay, the only impressive victory that you can really take a look at in that game, it is the Tampa Bay game when they won 23-13. He was 24-32, 197 yards and 2 touchdowns. So when you combine all that, right, you can't create a narrative. And then when that narrative doesn't fit what you're talking about, we shy away from it. These were teams that were terrible. They were terrible. The same way that we are looking at Carolina, that's how we were looking at the Giants. That's how we were looking at the Falcons. That's how we was looking at all these other teams. So when you go out there and you play those teams, you look otherworldly. So of course, Saints fans are going to be like, let's have this wait and see approach. But when you come into this season, you play against Carolina. Once again, a narrative. You ain't play nobody. And then you go out there and you play the Dallas Cowboys and you light them up. Now we're talking. Now we can go on this road of recovery and feeling like this dude is the franchise guy. Like, people try to make it seem like Saints fan skepticism of Derek Carr wasn't justified. Like, you go into every season with a blank sheet, especially when a team has committed to said player. Like, you have no choice. Like, if you were kind of on the fence about Bryce Young, if you're a Carolina Panthers fan, you had no choice but to try to buy into dude because he's the franchise quarterback. He's the guy that they're going to parade out there week in, week out to help this team win. So you have no choice. So beating up on Derek Carr and saying Derek Carr sucks and saying all these different things, it don't really benefit anything. So you have no choice but to have a wait and see approach. I just don't like the fact that now the Saints are 2-0 out the gate, averaging 40 plus points a game. Now all of a sudden, like, you got these people coming up out the trees as if what we were saying as Saint fans wasn't justified. I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy that Derek Carr is lighting it up right now. I'm happy that Derek Carr is, as of right now, after 2 weeks, people are looking at him in an MVP-like way. I like that. But to say that people were wrong to feel the way that they do, and to make it seem like Clint Kubiak is not putting his hands all up on this dude, man, please. Let me explain something to y'all. Back in, I want to say 2015, could be 2016. I'm not really good with the dates right now. But Matt Ryan for the Atlanta Falcons won league MVP. Can somebody please tell me who was the offensive coordinator of the Falcons? It was Kyle freaking Shanahan. Kyle freaking Shanahan has taken the guy in Brock Purdy, who is Mr. Irrelevant, who was the very last pick of the draft a couple of years ago, and has this guy leading the San Francisco 49ers to a Super Bowl. So for people to say that this particular system is not beneficial to Derek Carr, you are out of your freaking mind. Derek Carr has been good. Don't get me wrong. He has had some good moments. He has played some good football. But to say that what the Saints are doing right now as we speak, running the football, how many times did Derek Carr throw the ball yesterday? He threw the ball 16 times. 16. I want to tell y'all something. There was a game in an NFC Championship game. It was the Green Bay Packers versus the San Francisco 49ers a couple of years ago. The San Francisco 49ers ran their way into the Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo threw the ball 10 times in that entire game. They just basically ran all over Green Bay, ran all up and through them. How many times did Alvin Kamara run the football yesterday? He ran the ball 20 times. So I'm not sitting up here saying, oh man, you know, what's happening right now is inevitable. To me, it probably wouldn't be. You're telling me that if Pete Carmichael was the offensive coordinator of the New Orleans Saints, they would have dropped 44 points on the Cowboys yesterday with that offense. Somebody please tell me if that's the case. It is not. It is not, folks. And I'm not sitting up here trying to poo-poo on Derek, because what they're asking him to do, he is knocking it out of the park. But I said this, and I'm going to continue to say it. Less of Derek Carr is more. If you don't have this dude throwing the ball 30 plus times a game, and you put an emphasis on the running game, and you set up the play action, something that he thrives in, you're going to win football games. To me, if you're a quarterback, if you got to be Mahomes, you got to be Josh Allen, you got to be like one of those quarterbacks to me, for me to be sitting up here talking about, oh, you know what I'm saying, like your team going to win despite whatever you put out there. The Saints would not win despite what they put out there if it wasn't for this system. I look at the Derek Carr situation the same way I look at Brock Purdy, how I looked at Matt Ryan when he won league MVP. It was the quarterback whisperer. It was the coordinator. It was the system. And you just took a quarterback that, you know, that can sling it and that can do what you're asking him to do. Like, don't take my word for it. Like, listen to what he's saying. Like, Derek Carr, at the press conference after the game, he basically talked about how he had to cope and deal with the fact of not having so much on his plate.
Oh yeah, it definitely. I had to bite my tongue a lot, you know, because I'm so used to playing a certain way, and but change isn't always a bad thing, you know. And again, excuse me, you know, there's things that Clint lets me, you know, communicate with him, and you know, there is some say so. It's not like I'm just standing back there with my hands behind my back, you know. But it is a lot different than what I'm used to. But I'm thankful for it because there's like this happy medium, you know, of doing what we're doing and doing the things that I want to do and the way that my mind works. but also me, taking a step back and saying, okay, what's best for our team and what's best for me? What's best for everybody around me? Yeah, maybe, Derek can do that, but can all the other 10 handle that, and that? It's different for everybody. It's just not just how my brain works, how everybody's brain works. And so there's a lot of things that sometimes you got to take a step back as a leader and say, okay, what's the best thing for all of us? And they've done a great job of just letting me be free and just letting me be, me, just be an athlete, go play quarterback. And so far it's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun.
So, he talks about the changes that was made, to the way that he, has had a lot on his plate. And now, he's trusting the process. So, I'm saying the process to me is beneficial to the start that he's had. That's just my opinion. But my whole point is, number one, I'm happy about the whole situation. Number two, all I'm saying is for people to feel like Saints fans weren't justified to feel the way that they did. Like, I just feel like that was wrong because, like I said, anything in life, like, you have to show people. It don't matter, like, where you came from, who like, you got to prove it to people. And, what he's doing right now, he is changing the minds of the Who Dat Nation because they feel like, they can actually trust him in certain situations. Now, people, I'm gonna go ahead and read some of these comments. Let's scroll up a little bit. Let's see. I respectfully disagree with you, sir. I don't know exactly what you disagree with me about. I don't know exactly what the disagreement is about. Carr deserves the criticism he was getting. I hope he continues playing well. Yeah, I mean, like I said at the beginning of the season, you want to change people's opinions and views about you, you start winning. That's winning is the way that you absolve all this, right? It's the way that people get off your case. It's the way people start looking at you differently when you start to like deliver the goods. That just comes with the territory, man. Nobody cares about where you came from. It's about what you can actually do in real time. How can you step it up? How can you stand up on business? Simple. Didn't we have trouble getting over 17 points last season? Pretty much. Most fans want to see Rattler play. That is the case, but Rattler get his opportunities, man. He'll get his opportunity, but I ain't never like sit up here and say, Rattler should have been starting over Derek Carr. Like, I always felt like he need to have, sit down and wait his turn. And then, once he gets his opportunity, hopefully he can hit it out of the park. Fact, TJ, especially with our defense. Let's see. Shanahan is the Bill Walsh of our times. His offensive works better than most other defenses. You basically can put an offense on steroids, combining Gary Kubiak's offense and Kyle Shanahan's offense, or Mike Shanahan of that matter. So, I mean, you basically running this, it's offense on steroids. If you combine those two mind frames, Gary Kubiak and Mike Shanahan were two of the best offensive minds of their time, So, yeah, this offense is taking the NFL by storm. TJ Dennis Allen, coach of the year. Yeah, if he make it to the playoffs and the Saints win double-digit games, I think he'll win. Because, you got to see where he came from. People are up here talking about he's going to be the first coach to get fired. People, basically writing his death certificate here. And if he can go out there and get double-digit wins or win this division for the Saints, I don't see no reason or how they can deny him. Everybody from the Who Dat Nation does not feel the same. I respect your opinion. You are awesome, but I disagree about Carr. I don't understand what we disagree about. And I don't know what we can disagree about. I don't even know what I said. I guess the part you disagree with is what I'm saying. Go check the last 7 games last year before Kubiak. But like I said, it's still justified. You can't say the last 7 games and all that when we know that what this Cowboy game actually meant to the New Orleans Saints and their fans. Like, why is it? Okay, the Saints won 4 out of their last 5 games to end the season last year, right? But nobody was really talking about it. Nobody was really talking about it. Why was that? It's because they felt the Saints didn't play nobody. And even to a certain extent, even when you were excited about the 47-10 victory, you had to like think in your mind and feel like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, they won and this was impressive, but like, man, can they beat a team with a winning record? You know what I'm saying? Can they beat a team that people are looking at as an actual contender? Like, man, we can't pretend like these type of narratives didn't come across our minds, man. Like, I know we live in this world where we want to be right about every single thing. And that's why I feel comfortable about the way that I stand, because when I'm wrong about something, I don't mind saying that I was wrong. I don't mind giving people props of having to pull up to a table and eat crow. But I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like these conversations weren't warranted. Like, you can't do that, man. Like, you can't be sitting up here scared, nervous. Oh Lord, how I'm gonna pay this bill? How I'm gonna do this? And you up there crying, losing your ish. And then all of a sudden you get a knock on the door. Hey, bro. Hey, man, I was just passing by the house, man. I remember I owed you $40, man. You know what I'm saying? And here it is right here. And your bill $35.96. You know what I'm saying? Like something like that. Like, man, come on, man. Give me a freaking break. Like, are you gonna be like, whoo, boy? I mean, like, you was nervous, you was sweating, you was really wondering how I'm gonna pay this bill. You know, like you really was wondering how you was gonna do this. Like, it's easy to say, you know, when there ain't no alarms on and everything's all calm, how everything like was gonna work out. But you weren't thinking like that. You wasn't. I just don't, it bothers me when people try to make it seem like they were just cool head Luke the whole entire time. Like, there were questions that needed to be answered. And there's still questions that need to be answered in the eyes of some members of the Who Dat Nation. And I just feel like it's fair. You can't, like, we sit up here and we criticize those other teams that they played. They played backup quarterbacks and teams that picking in the top 10. Just like, and we needed, Saints fans needed the game on Sunday. They needed it. I don't care if anybody, like, man, look, you can shy away from me. You can unsubscribe to me. But, hey, bro, ain't one thing we ain't going to do, we ain't going to lie to kick it. I ain't lying to kick it. I don't care. Like, I don't care what anybody feels about it. You can't sit up here and be like, man, well, you was uber negative. Of course I was. Look, when you go from a team that was going to the playoffs, winning double-digit games every single year, and offense looked about as stale as bread left up on the counter for 24 hours, of course you're going to be upset. Like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? You can be happy and be satisfied, but you got some people out here that were trying to tax me, trying to tax other people. Like, man, miss me with that nonsense right there. Like, this was like the questions about this football team were warranted. Ain't nobody was just sitting up here, man, I hope they lose today. Watch how they lose. Come on, man. Nobody wanted to sit up here and talk bad about this team or criticize this team. But you got people out here that really feel that way. Like, don't send me no receipts, especially if you ain't watching my damn show. If you just know me because you like I tweet on X, don't respond. Don't respond to me. Don't respond to me. If you ain't going to take the hour, the 30 minutes, the 45 minutes to watch my damn content, miss me with that stuff right there. Because I guarantee you, I will make you look like a jackass. Somebody please pull up a clip of me just saying that, oh, you know what I'm saying, the New Orleans Saints, I want them to look absolutely awful. Absolutely awful in 2024. What was I saying at the beginning of the season? I said I got a wait and see approach. I said it's hard for me to get upset about something that I have not seen. Yes, I was upset last year, but just like every other football fan, every other onlooker, we go through the motions. We go by what we see, and we based our opinion on that. What world do we live in where we cannot formulate another opinion? That is the issue that's the problem with society now. Because nobody wants to listen to anybody. We want to keep it the cap lock on any statement that a person says, and don't want to give them the opportunity to rephrase or be proven otherwise. If you're proving otherwise, I have no choice but to sit up here and say, you know what, I was wrong. But, man, you said this. Of course I did. Look how bad the team was looking. Look at the energy. Come on, man. Like, wait, man, we're going to sit up here and try to pretend? We're going to sit up here and try to act like, come on, man. Yeah, some of y'all some jokesters, man. Some of y'all some jokes. And, people like calling, talking about fair weather. Like, me? Man, please. You don't know my story. You don't know my story. If you're going to sit up here and say me, and like I said, most people know me because of what I tweet or tweet or something like that. And if you know me for that, I'm cool with whatever opinion you have about me, because you're not even smart enough to take 30 minutes to see what a brother really feel about anything. You basically just tweeting hoping that I respond to you. There were people who were hoping Derek Carr and Dennis Allen would lose so the organization could fire the coach. Yeah, I mean, no, but Everett, the thing about it is, what I'm saying is, I know that there's people out there that kind of coincides with what I was saying the entire time. You had people that were reluctant, and it was justifiable. It was justifiable the way in the direction the team was going in. Last season, you had one of the easiest schedules in football, so people automatically just thought. And you combine the fact that the New Orleans Saints were playing more so than not against backup second and third string guys. Josh Dobbs, I think he was maybe on the Vikings for like 2 weeks when he went into that game and lit up the Saints and turned into Lamar Vick. Come on, man. So all I'm saying is, of course, people are going to be upset about that. You have a coach who in his first year as the head coach of the Saints, he was 7-10. And then you're struggling against quarterbacks and, like letting other quarterbacks just go out there and do whatever the heck they want to do. And you're beating the scrubs. I call them that. You know what I'm saying? Or what people consider scrubs. Look, you playing the National Football League at quarterback. Look, you done some things to get there. So I respect that. But in the eyes of other people, may be looked at as an inferior quarterback. But when you go up against somebody that actually know what they're doing, then all of a sudden, like, you don't look the part. So, the criticism was justified. People feeling like maybe this coach and quarterback dynamic wasn't what it needs to be was justified. But like I say, you go into the season, in my opinion, with a clean slate. When the 2024 season is over, despite the fact that the Saints hosted in Lombardi or they got close or they didn't make the playoffs, in 2025, I just basically look at that season completely different than 2024. But when I'm in that season and I'm dealing with that and I'm going through the motions, of course I'm going to feel a certain type of way about it. So I can understand why some Saints fans may sit up there and say, man, I wasn't sure about this. Oh, we need to fire the coach. Oh, Derek Carr ain't the answer. Because, come on, man, like, look how the season ended up. And when you sit up here and bring a guy in and you say, oh, in so many words, I'm paraphrasing this, now we got ourselves a succession plan. This is our guy. This is our succession plan. Things about to get back to normal, Who Dat Nation. Then all of a sudden, like, you're beating bad teams, can't win against the good teams. Like, where's the good in that? And then on top of that, like I said, New Orleans has that ride or die mentality. When you, like, those guys, like Michael Thomas, like Chris Olave, like Eric McCoy, those are players that Saints fans love and support, and they'll go to war for. You're a newbie. You just got here, despite the fact that you were a 10 or 11-year veteran at the time. You just got here, so people don't know you like that. So you have to kind of ingratiate yourself into the culture. You kind of ingratiate yourself into what's going on. And like I said, if you compare the fact that people seeing Drew Brees do it in such a in such a classy way for 15, 16 years of his career. Like just seeing this guy go out there and just play the quarterback position to the best of his ability, right? I mean, a first class human being. Like we ain't used, like Saints fans ain't used to that. Ain't seen like him yelling at Chris Olave. Like, no, man, yelling at Colston, yelling at Meacham. Nah, man, we ain't like we lose. We walk back to the locker room, man. It's on me. You know, we figure it out as a team. We ain't looking at nobody throwing no temper tantrum on the sidelines against no Jacksonville Jaguars on a Thursday night. I seen Drew Brees throw 5 interceptions against Atlanta on a Thursday night. He sitting up there talking, and a couple of them, the receivers ran the wrong route. So I'm like, come on, man. If you're gonna sit up there and talk, like, come on, man, we gotta put this thing into perspective here, man. We gotta put this thing into perspective. Ain't nobody just came out there like ready, set, hate Derek Carr. No. But I can tell you this, back to my original statement. You can change the narrative. You can change the narrative on what a person feels about you by your actions. Like I said, everything in life, ladies and gentlemen, at one time or another, you're going to have to prove to somebody something. Most things in life we have to prove to others in order for them to come to us and say, you're worthy of me trusting you. You're worthy of me loving you. You're worthy of me giving you this position. That's anything in life, folks. What you're doing right now, if you're at work right now, you got that job because the person that hired you trusts you. If you're still there that long, you got the trust of that particular organization. If you're in management, retail management, like I was before I got into broadcasting full time, there was a level of trust that these organizations have for me to be able to put that money in a bag and bring that thing to the bank every single night to the night drop. If you're married right now, thinking about being married, why are you doing it? Because that person, if you're about to give that woman that ring, you feel like that person is worthy of you giving it to them, worthy of the love that you wanted to show to them, and vice versa. But you ain't just wake up one morning and be like, man, I think I'm going to get a ring for a random stranger. No, that came with time. That came with time. And they showed their worth. If Derek Carr goes out there and plays the way that he's doing right now and operates the way that he's been operating, I guarantee you, there'll be a street named after him. There'll be a statue outside the Superdome for him. I told you, and I stand by this. New Orleans, that's my hometown. I don't care where I live now. I live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina right now, but that's my hometown. When I get home, I don't need GPS. Except if I go on the West Bank. I don't know everywhere around there. But for the most part, if I'm riding through the 9, like I was with my dad, and I'm riding through the 9. Like at first, you know what I'm saying? Like we was like kind of in different areas and stuff like that. So I'm trying to navigate. When I got down there on Robinson, turn the GPS off. Where I'm going? Oh, we going on Desire. I don't need no GPS. I don't need no GPS to find that mark, folks. So, you know, like, man, all I'm saying at the end of the day is if Derek Carr goes out there and performs, the city of New Orleans will love them, will love him unconditionally. Like, we know how we roll. If New Orleans, if you love it, it's going to love you back. If you show that you are disloyal to the city of New Orleans in any way, shape, or form, you will never be looked at the same. Look at Josh Hart. When Josh Hart got traded from the Pelicans, everybody like, oh man, Josh Hart, man, that's my guy right there, man. I can't believe they traded him. Everybody showing this dude love. He goes up there on a podcast and says, what? Oh man, nobody want to go to New Orleans. Guess what? No po' boy for you, bro. No free hand grenade for you, my friend. Anthony Davis still get booed to this day every time he goes into the Smoothie King Center. And so does Chris Paul. But if they show a little bit of some sorrow, some contrition, attrition, like they show something like that, you know what I'm saying? A contrition, they show something like that, then guess what, folks? Guess what? man, that's how I got, man. He did put up 50 that night. You know what I'm saying? That was my last $40 right there, man. I went up in there and watched Anthony Davis drop 50 on them boys. Like, we know how it go. If you show love to New Orleans, it will show love to you back. But you got to show some contrition, man. You got to show that, like, man, I'm with y'all. You do that, then people gonna be like, man, you know what? I love this guy, man. TJ, that go for Louisiana. We love you unconditionally. Same thing with Eli Apple. We have no love for him either. Exactly, man. You start talking about the city. You start talking about the streets, man. Man, get out of my face. That's just how I roll, man. That's just how I roll. Man, we got 467 people watching this right now. I ask that you hit the like button. Please hit the like button. If you enjoy the show, if you enjoy the content, please hit the like button. Man, they had some crazy games over the weekend too, man. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals game, that was crazy. That was absolutely crazy right there, man. They got people out there that really feel that the referees are showing favoritism to Patrick Mahomes. Do y'all feel that way? Do y'all feel that way? I mean, I don't know, man. I went back and I watched a little bit of that game, and I can tell you, man, Cincinnati had the opportunities to try to win that football game, but you can't put it into the hands of the referees, and I don't think I'm telling any other Saints fans something they don't already know. And I've said this on countless occasions on the State of the Saints podcast. You do not put it in the hands of the referees. When you got them nip and tuck games, you got to be able to go out there and execute, man. But, you fumbling the football, you Joe Burrow getting picked up for a touchdown, stuff like that, man. That's the kind of stuff they're going to get you beat. You have Buckner, end up kicking that game-winning field goal. And, Joe Burrow, he was 23 of 36, 258 yards and 2 touchdowns. But like I said, he had that lost fumble. But I just think when it comes to the Bengals, first off, their ownership is cheap. And that's the reason why they keep on falling into these situations. They are cheap. They are petty. I don't know what it is, man. I can remember like back in the day when Carson Palmer wanted to get traded, and they basically made this man retire because they just refused to let this dude go. They just refused to let him go, man. Like, just let the man go if he ain't happy, he ain't satisfied. Well, Detroit kind of did that to Barry Sanders too. But all I'm saying is, man, like, you got T. Higgins that you need to pay. You got Jamar Chase who you need to pay. And these young guys, man, today, everybody ain't about to do what Alvin doing out there on the field right now. Alvin clearly deserves and needs a new contract. And I feel like this is one of the worst things the New Orleans Saints have done, because now, like I said, yesterday's price is not today's price. So the price that y'all probably negotiated or probably could have negotiated for Alvin Kamara, now he's going to price himself out of the whole entire situation. Now you're going to find yourself having to pay even more if you want to keep him around. Kind of like with that Trey Hendrickson thing. Like, with Trey Hendrickson showing you, 10 sacks, maybe it's time for you to say, you know what, let's go ahead and pay the guy. Alvin Kamara going out there, what he scored, 6 touchdowns in 2 weeks? And you still ain't sitting up here pulling up to the table? What more does he need to show you? I don't think anybody had an issue with that, right? Everybody knew Alvin Kamara just needed a new system and utilize him the way that Sean Payton in some ways utilized him, and now we're looking at Alvin Kamara thrive. Possibly can be offensive player of the year. We'll see. But all I'm saying is, when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals, they're starting off 0-2 for the 5th consecutive year under Zach Taylor as their head coach. I'm not really concerned about the Cincinnati Bengals or Joe Burrow because they always start off low. I can remember a couple of years ago, Joe Burrow threw 4 interceptions in a game versus the Dallas Cowboys in AT&T Stadium, that place where the Saints own. And, he threw 4 interceptions in that game. And, the Bengals end up still going to the playoffs. So I'm not too concerned about the 0-2 start. I think that it just takes Jamar Chase, T. Higgins to be able to get back. I think that these guys are kind of making some business decisions. Jamar Chase, they didn't even know he was going to play week 1. And then you have T. Higgins, who basically is making sure that he's completely healed up before he actually goes out there and play. So I think at the end of the day, I think that they'll get better. I think they're missing Joe Mixon, who I'm praying for, man. That was an ugly injury that he had on Sunday night with the Texans. I mean, that was nasty, man. I hope there ain't nothing serious going on there. It looked like almost like he broke his ankle there. But they're missing him. Zach Moss, talented, but he is no Joe Mixon. He is no Joe Mixon. And you need that running game. You need that running game to be able to support Joe Burrow. And the offensive line, they still have their struggles there, but they're a little bit better than they were in years past. And, the Kansas City Chiefs, like, you got to give them credit. They're taking everybody's best shot, but they still finding ways to get away. But, some people are saying that the referees are going to show favoritism towards Patrick Mahomes, and they probably will because, the NFL, y'all knew it, man. Y'all already know, man. So, I just think that the Kansas City Chiefs, they don't look like world beaters. They're going to have to figure out life without Isaiah Pacheco because they think he has a broken fibula. They put him on IR. That could possibly be a season-ending thing. We don't know. But, they can throw the football around, but ain't nobody going to be checking for it. Like, ain't nobody going to be checking for the deep passes now that you ain't got Isaiah Pacheco because Pacheco was so violent when he ran. People had to kind of respect their running game. And, they kind of like kept guys back to make sure nothing goes over their heads. So now, if you're playing against the Kansas City Chiefs, you got a better chance of beating them because you're really going to have to rely on Patrick Mahomes going out there, throwing the ball all over the place, throwing for 350, 400 yards, hoping that he can actually provide a spark there. So I thought it was an interesting game. I thought it was a fun game. But I think that both teams are probably going to be there in the end. I just think that Kansas City, right now, they're survivors. Travis Kelce has been a non-factor. I think Travis Kelce only got like 37 yards this entire season, maybe like 3 or 4 receptions. And I guess you got Taylor Swift up there, in a press box every time, which I don't understand. We get it. She's at the game. We understand. She's in a building. We get it. But come on, man. Like they don't look indestructible, but they didn't look like that last year. They didn't look like that last year. Like, in my opinion, I think that was probably Kansas City's most impressive championship last year. Was the one last year because, man, those wide receivers were awful. They were awful, man. But that game, took up a lot of the media coverage there outside of the Dallas Cowboys, New Orleans Saints game where the Saints absolutely mud walked them boys. Also, man, the Arizona Cardinals, man, looking like a real football team this season. I mean, you got the Rams. They've been dealing with a lot of injuries, man. Puka Nacua out for the season. Cooper Kupp, he's still talented, but he's not what he once was. But I think that people just need to pump their brakes and woosah and calm down when they were talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr., everybody was talking about, oh, man, look at the 40 time. He's slow. Well, all dude did after everybody talked about how slow he was, all he did was go out there with 4 catches, 130 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And probably would have had a bigger stat line than that if they ain't take him out of the game. So all I'm saying at the end of the day is when it comes down to it, when it's all said and done, all I got to say is very, very simply, people just need to be quiet because they were saying the same thing about Jamar Chase when he first got into the league. Oh, the NFL football and the college football, he can't catch. Well, how's that going for him? So, man, Marvin Harrison, that guy's a freak of nature. He reminds me, I'm talking about like his build and his size, kind of reminds me of Julio. Now, he ain't running like Julio. Julio was flying. Like, Julio was a freak of nature. You 6'4", about 220, running a 4.3 like that down the field. Like, dude was a freak of nature. But I like the catch radius. I think that he's only going to get better And I just think that people just like to take shots at Marvin Harrison because, the NFL, they have like these set of rules, and it seems like he just marches to the beat of his own drum. They had the issue about him signing with Fanatics, the people that make the jerseys, and he ain't put his name on a dotted line. He was like, man, I ain't coming there, and they got all upset. They want to use his name, image, and likeness for certain things, and he ain't want them to do that. I mean, it's kind of different. Like when your dad was arguably one of the greatest wide receivers, in my opinion, top 3 greatest wide receiver of all time, and Marvin Harrison Sr. You don't have to worry about money or anything like that. You can just go out there and just play the game. So I like what I saw. Kyler Murray, he looks like he's healthy, man. I mean, he was coming off that ACL injury last year. He was dealing with that. This is a young team. They hungry. James Conner is running the ball well, 21 carries for 122 yards and a touchdown. Kyler Murray chipped in with 59 yards. And like I said, you have a young wide receiver group. You got a really underrated tight end in Trey McBride, which a lot of people aren't talking about. But, I know they got Sam Laporta. He came in, and Dalton Kincaid. And, those guys got the majority of the attention. But Trey McBride was out there making plays last season, man, just like those other guys were. But Arizona was just terrible. And then you have Mike Wilson, who is a big physical receiver. He's going to be their possession guy. And then they got a young defense, man. Those guys aren't, household names for the exception of Buda Baker, but they play together as a unit, man. And, they get that sack by committee, which I'm always a fan of. So I think Arizona, man, they got a chance to win this West, especially when you look at, the 49ers dealing with the issues without Christian McCaffrey. They lost yesterday, right? They lost yesterday to the Minnesota Vikings. So we know how much Chris McCaffrey means to that offense. There are times where Chris McCaffrey put the 49ers on his back. So there's a chance that Arizona can kind of make this thing interesting. Seattle is still trying to figure it out. They won yesterday versus the New England Patriots. And the Rams, they're decimated with injuries. So Arizona, they got a chance. They got a chance, man. They got a chance. But let me go ahead and read some of y'all comments. It says Metcalf been the closest thing to Julio built. Julio was a rocket for real, for real. Yeah, man. DK Metcalf, a freak of nature in his own right, big physical guy, has that speed too. But he's to me, he's not on that level of Julio Jones. Like Julio Jones was just, man, he was just otherworldly good. You know what I'm saying? Like that's one thing I will say. I can't stand the Falcons. Don't get me wrong, but they hit the lottery when they got that guy. That dude was good, man. It was good. They took out the starters. We made them quit yesterday. Who that? Yeah, man. Look, there's 2 weeks in a row. Saints fans seen Jake Haener, and they seen Jake Haener for a positive reason, not a negative one. So you can't argue with that, right? How do you feel about Tua not wanting to retire, TJ? I can understand, man, because he has that warrior spirit, Leah. I can see why, but man, when you have these many concussions, man, getting slept on the field like that, like that's scary, man. And then you have that temporary paralysis. That's the second time. Like, I don't know if people was really paying that much attention to it. I don't know if the NFL is really trying to put emphasis on it. Like, yeah, we get it, it's concussion, man. But I guess it's the magnitude of what happened and how it happened, Leah. Like the 2 times where he had significant concussions happened on national television in front of a live audience, man, like 2 primetime games. And you see this guy out there completely knocked out cold. And to be honest with you, I don't know, man. I wasn't out there, but it didn't even really seem like it was that DeMar Hamlin hit was as impactful as you would think that somebody would get knocked out cold would have. And that would bother me. Like I went back, I'm like, what did DeMar really do? Like kind of ran into him. Like he maybe hit like his knee or his upper thigh. It's like you don't expect somebody to be out cold for something like that. And concussions, like from all of the science and everything that we have learned, like it takes a while for these things to heal. And when you get multiple concussions like that, now we're talking about, man, when you retire, you're forgetting things. stuff is happening, man. Like we hear all these different stories. We've heard stories about like greats like Mike Webster, with the Pittsburgh Steelers and what he had to go through like when his life towards the end of his life, and then also Junior Seau and some of the things that he had to deal with. So, man, I ain't trying to see. I like Tua a lot. I know he had his fair share of injuries dating back to Alabama. I'm happy that he's finding some success in the NFL. Now, I will say this. Before he got injured, he was looking terrible out there. I want to say that. But he has found success to a point where, he got his contract. But I ain't trying to see this man go out there. Like, the NFL really has to think long and hard. Like, I think they have to intervene. Because if you keep on having concussions like this, man, I don't want to expect the worst. Like, I don't want to see, I don't even want to say it, but y'all know where I'm going, man. And if that happens, that is a huge black eye on the NFL. That's parents that's second guessing their kids playing football at all. And that affects the bottom line because now you're affecting the future of the NFL, if that makes sense. So yeah, like you gotta think long and hard, man, about having this dude out there. I ain't trying to see him. I don't think they need to put him out there this year. I think his season needs to be over. And I think if you want to bring this dude back, I think at least 3 neurologists got to be signed. The NFL has a lot of money. They got a lot of money, bro. A lot of money. Y'all remember that lawsuit that they had on the NFL Sunday Ticket that just automatically just disappeared, right? All of a sudden, like they just threw it out. They just threw it out of court. They were supposed to pay what? A couple $2 billion. They were supposed to pay a couple $2 billion to people. Then all of a sudden, like just out of nowhere, lawsuit just went away. So you have the power to be able to bring in the world's greatest neurologist. Like you gotta like really do your examinations. And if they find, if this dude go back out here like this, that, and the third can happen, then guess what, ladies and gentlemen? You gotta go ahead and have that conversation with him. You gotta have the conversation with Stephen Ross, the owner, because we know that the shield is gonna protect the shield. Let's see. Nobody told CD and Diggs that talking smack gets you smacked upside the head. CD got the fool knocked out of him yesterday. Yeah, man. Will Harris, man. Will Harris wasn't playing, man. He took it personal. He took it personal. The whole team took it personal. Outside of that 65-yard touchdown, he didn't do much in the game. Tony Dorsett is a sad story as well, post-football. Yeah, man. Tony Dorsett, one of the greatest running backs of all time, went to the University of Pittsburgh, played many years with the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, man. I mean, you hear all these different stories, man, about these guys with concussions. Now, I look at, like, I'm telling you, man, being around football players and having a privilege to do that week in, week out, game in, game out, like you have you see like these guys like on a human level. Like we watch those guys run out of the tunnel with the pomp and circumstance, the confetti, you know what I'm saying, the fireworks and all these different things. Like we see these players and we forget one particular thing, that they're human. And like I said, being around like some of these process, like, man, shouts out to my guy Lance Boykin. I was he played for the Seattle Seahawks. He went to Coastal and he was at the combine. And I can remember like sitting next to his dad and his brother, and they were like, they had his cleats or whatever like that. And it was almost time for him to like go through his cornerback drills. And I just can remember like, them just sitting up there talking and having a conversation with his dad. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I was like, man, like it humanizes them. Like these dudes are like going through real human situations. They go through the emotions. They deal with certain different things. So I ain't trying to see dude like just because okay he gives Miami the best chance to win football games. I ain't trying to see this dude go out there and lose his life, man, or get like seriously hurt to a point where he can't take care of his kids. I want to say he had like 2 or 3 children, and I ain't trying to see that, man. I don't think. Look, when you really got to start second guessing. Like, if a player gets seriously hurt, and the first thing comes to your mind is like, damn, that gonna mess up my fantasy team. Like, you really got to start second guessing yourself there. TJ, he's going to eventually have to sign a hold harmless to keep playing. They're gonna have to sign something because, man, I'm telling you, the NFL gonna look out for itself. Like, I'm telling you, we know the NFL. We know the NFL. They're going to protect that shield, my friend. They're going to protect that. I said before the season began that Philly was the most vulnerable playoff team the Saints were liable to beat. Yeah, look, speaking of which, let's go ahead and talk about that game. Tonight, if you're watching this on a Monday Night Football, the Atlanta Falcons go to Lincoln Financial Field to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia, last time they played was in Brazil. Man, they got quite a while off right here. They got an extra day, right? So they played on a Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't they play on a Friday? I think they played on Friday of last week. And now they playing on a Monday, right? To try to get themselves like recalibrated back to American time or what have you. But they go into this game 1-0 after they knock off the Green Bay Packers. And now, the Philadelphia Eagles, they look like a team that, to me, they look all right defensively. They were able to get pressure on Jordan Love. They were able to, do some things in order for them to win. We see some of their playmakers on full display there. Now they're going up against the Atlanta Falcons team that, for all of a sudden, like, they got the most injured quarterback in all of football. Like, where the hell did that come from? I just want to know where did that come from? Because all I heard all season was they got all hands on deck, stacks on deck, right? We ready, right? We ready for y'all. That's all I heard. Don't show up. Don't come to the games. If you New Orleans, if you Carolina, if you Tampa, don't come to your football games because it really don't matter because Atlanta about to start wrecking shop. And then all of a sudden they go up in there and they play against a Pittsburgh Steelers team and they forced them to 6 field goals and couldn't win a football game. All I'm saying is you got to be humble, right? You got to be humble. You got to let the games play out. But I'm not going to poo-poo on them too bad. They do have a formidable, from what it looks like, they have a formidable defense. I expect for the offense to look a little bit better this week. I expect for them to run the football. I expect for Zach Robinson to get on the same page. You're probably going to see Kirk Cousins under center a little bit more because that's the biggest issue, on top of the fact that now all of a sudden his leg is hanging off. I think that his shoulder, he left that in Minnesota. Y'all know how it go, man. A bunch of excuses from the Falcon fans. But I really feel like, honestly, I know that some Saints fans that may be watching this right now may not want to hear this, but I think they might win this football game. I think they might win this football game because last week we seen them against Justin Fields. He didn't run wild on them. And, they were able to kind of keep him in the pocket. So if they can kind of neutralize Jalen Hurts, the ability for him to move outside the pocket, I think they can win this football game. I'm not really fully sold on Philly right now, man. I think that Philly kind of benefited a little bit. Jordan Love being hurt, that kind of sucked the air out of the room. That game was kind of close anyway. So I don't know exactly about Philly just yet. I'm not a fan of Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator. I don't know how this dude just keep getting work. I don't know, man. This dude is like, well, Lane Kiffin is a pretty decent head coach right now, but I'm talking about like when he kept on flaking out job after job. Like, how does this dude just keep getting work? Like Kellen Moore, like, somebody please, for the life of me, please name a quarterback that Kellen Moore has been instrumental in helping and developing. You've had Dak Prescott. That was your first assignment. I mean, Dak was so suspect, what I'm saying? Like, basically, you could find him in a police lineup. Then he went to Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert was already good. So Justin Herbert was already there. So did he elevate Justin Herbert? No. Brandon Staley got fired. And now you move on to Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, to me, is a good quarterback. He just needs a good quarterback whisperer. And if he gets himself a really good quarterback whisperer, guess what? Guess what, Who That Nation? I think he'll be all right. But I do not trust Kellen Moore. I do not. I feel like you're probably going to hear some things from Philly fans in the next couple of weeks when it comes to Kellen Moore, because I don't see them lighting it up. And as soon as, you ain't getting the ball to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and all them other guys that catch the football, we're going to see it. I just don't trust it. So I think they got a chance of winning this football game, Hopefully I'm wrong, but that's just the way I feel. It says, who else is enjoying both the successes of the Saints and the failure of Sean Payton with his hand-picked quarterback buzz, Bo Nix? Look, I'm not upset. Look, I ain't got, look, number one, I said this and I'm going to stand by this, okay? Shouts out to Jeff Duncan. No people got their opinions about Jeff, but he ain't never did nothing to your boy, right? Sometimes, I don't agree with everything he says, but he went out to Denver and, he had a conversation with Sean Payton. And, I after, he was promoting his article, I said, man, I appreciate Sean Payton for everything he did for the New Orleans Saints organization. I do. You can't take that away from them, folks. The feeling that you feel right now about the New Orleans Saints, the expectations that you have right now for this team, the New Orleans Saints, is because Sean Payton instilled that level of confidence and that willingness, to be able to hold this team accountable for wanting better product on the field. It wasn't like that before the dude got here. So for that, I'm going to give him all the credit in the world. But let's not pretend like the dude didn't quit on the team. Let's not pretend like he did not walk away from this football team and chunked up something I feel very strongly about, because I advocate for this, mental health issues. Because I have been on record about some of the issues that I've dealt with anxiety and depression. And it bothers me when people use that stuff as a cop-out. Well, TJ, he didn't use it as a cop-out. Well, riddle me this. Why is it that we were hearing that he was, I don't want to say he was meeting up, but his representation was talking to Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, to bring he and Tom Brady to Miami. And the only reason that didn't happen was because of Brian Flores. Brian Flores blew the whistle. He went too short on him. Blew the whistle. Blew the whistle. He blew the whistle on them boys. And that's the only reason why he ain't in Miami right now. So honestly, I feel like even if, I think I could say this. If it didn't pan out the way that it did, if Brian Flores did not blow the whistle, I guarantee you, the way that some Saints fans think about Sean Payton today, they would not be thinking about him like that right now, because you could not dispute the fact that you left this team because, you just basically gave up on him. And I still feel that way. I feel strongly about that. So two things can be true. Well, look what he done for the team. Look how much what he did for the Saints. Like, look all the winning they did, the championship. Look, that can be true. You can have an appreciation for that on one hand, but also acknowledge the fact that the dude quit on the team. It's just that simple. You can talk about Belichick all you want to. You can talk about he flaked out in New England because Tom Brady wasn't there anymore, but at least he stayed for a couple of years to try to right the ship. He tried to bring in Mac Jones. He tried to make Bailey Zappi work. And he was willing to face scrutiny after winning 6 Super Bowls when he did it. So respect for that. Okay. Anybody can front run, but it takes a strong individual to do what Mike Tomlin is doing out there in Pittsburgh. It takes a strong individual to do what John Harbaugh doing out there in Baltimore. Even with Pete Carroll, it took strength, for him to do it. When you had Russell Wilson as your franchise guy all those years, y'all winning playoff games, and then going to Geno Smith, a journeyman at that point, but was willing to invest in him to a point where he could be comeback player of the year. All I'm saying is, folks, two things can be true. You can have respect for Sean Payton for what he brought to the Saints organization and a confidence that you feel about this team, the confidence that he instilled inside of you by bringing offensive innovation and a 6 foot tall, 209-pound quarterback with a bum arm and Drew Brees and made him a legend. You can have respect for that. And you can also say he quit. And that's what I'm going to say. So, no, I don't look. So, back to what you were saying. Am I happy about the fact that Bo Nix is struggling? Nah, not really, man. I mean, look, I think Bo Nix is talented. I just think that he's probably going through the motions, which you see from a lot of rookie quarterbacks right now. Which rookie quarterback is setting the world on fire right now? Is Caleb Williams doing it? Nope. He threw 2 interceptions last night versus the Houston Texans. Bryce Young still is struggling. Young quarterback right there. Who's another quarterback, a young quarterback that got drafted that's playing right now? Who's setting the world on fire? Somebody please help me. Bo Nix not setting the world on fire. J.J. McCarthy, he's out for the season. Michael Penix, he's not playing. So who's setting the world on fire, folks? Who's doing it? Who's doing it? Absolutely. Like, not even Jaden Daniels. They won yesterday, but he ain't setting the world on fire. Not like Jaden. But he ain't setting the world on fire. Drake May, he ain't even playing. See, when we look at C.J. Stroud is an outlier. So C.J. Stroud and the success that he had last season, now everybody feels like if a quarterback does not come out looking like that, then they're scrub. C.J. Stroud is an outlier. C.J. Stroud is the only one that people can name, and that's the one that they go to. He is the standard. And you can't shy away from that. But the reality is, folks, C.J. Stroud is an outlier. The quarterbacks that you see and what they're struggling and going through the growing pains as young quarterbacks in the National Football League, that is the reality. And I asked that question because I knew the chat was going to give me that response. I knew the chat was going to give me that response. Everybody, like people saying Jaden Daniels, he's playing okay. But is he doing what C.J. Stroud did in his rookie season? No, he's not. I mean, he's playing solid, just like a rookie quarterback should. A solid quarterback, making plays, getting the ball to the hands of playmakers, but also not putting up 300 and some odd yards and 4 touchdowns in some cases like C.J. Stroud was doing. So all I'm saying is that is an anomaly with C.J. Stroud. And we got to be careful at how we evaluate these quarterbacks. So his struggles, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised with the struggles. Do I feel like Sean Payton got to get the best out of him? Yeah, but they haven't reached that point yet. But, I mean, it don't do me no good, wishing Sean Payton bad luck, I get it, I'm not going to knock anybody for feeling the way that they do about it. I'm not. That's fair. But, no young quarterback is good right now. Will Levis keeps selling leads. He got to earn his name is Levi until he becomes Levis. Yeah, look, Will Levis, another one. 2nd round pick coming out of Kentucky. Everybody was like, man, they crazy, man. Like Will Levis, he dropping in the draft. What's going on? Everybody talking about it's the mayonnaise and the coffee. No, man, people evaluate these quarterbacks, man. Sometimes they get them right. Sometimes they get them wrong. These quarterbacks are struggling, bro. Some like outside of C.J. Stroud, who was 2nd year, 1st year quarterback out here putting in that work? Who putting in that work after 2 games? It's a process. It's a process, man. It's a process. So I ain't knocking no young quarterback because playing football in the National Football League is hard. You just got some guys that just come along and just, knock it out the park. defense has winning throughout the NFL so far. Yeah, it has been. This is the way they've been playing that defense. They are not allowing these big explosive plays to go down the field. Well, except if you're Dallas and Carolina, when Rashid Shaheed and burnt you for about 5-10 yards. But other than that, like you ain't seeing it. You don't really. I think they had a stat. They said there were the least 300-yard quarterbacks in week 1 than any other time in some years. That ain't what the NFL want. That ain't what they want, man. They want to put up these numbers. They want the games to be 45-40, But these defenses, shouts out to the coordinators. They're becoming more sophisticated. They're finding ways to make these defenses work when the offense basically has their hands handcuffed. And they'll probably find another way to, make the defense be at a disadvantage. And they'll probably go back to, doing what they've been doing, which is putting up a bunch of points, 300 yards. But me personally, man, shoot, I like the fact that running a football is becoming a hot topic. I like it. I like the fact that, when I watch Saints games, I'm watching New Orleans Saints run the football more than passing. You ain't gotta throw that thing every single time, right? I mean, the play that Derek Carr threw to Rashid Shaheed, that 70-yard pass down the field, was just as exciting. Like I ain't gotta see it 2 and 3 and 4 times a game. I ain't gotta see that. Like, run that football, man. Run it back by committee. Ain't nothing more exciting than when you see a running back breaking tackles and getting to the third level. Ain't nothing more exciting than that. So yes, sir. I ain't got no problem with that. I'm gonna take a few more and then I'm gonna get up out of here. Thank y'all so much, man. I gotta let everybody know that this show is powered by BETUS. Sign up today, get up to 150% sign up bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. All you got to do is go to BETUS and use the promo code YouTube150. That's YouTube150. Let's go ahead and get back into it, man. Go ahead and get back into it. Me too, TJ. Love a good running attack. Yeah. And I do apologize. I know I said on the next episode I was gonna take phone calls, but I'm having these streaming issues, right? So we have like some bad weather here in Myrtle Beach, in a tropical storm, and man, the cable service that I'm with that does the Wi-Fi also basically kind of lowered the speeds there. So by actually adding in other people into the cube, for some reason I figured out and learned that it pulls more. I don't know what the heck going on, but when I tried to screen it at the beginning of the show, it just didn't look right. It didn't seem right, and it was affecting this stream, made it start buffering. So I want to make sure, like I said, when I open up phone lines, I want to make sure people, are clear and concise, and make sure that their point is getting made, at least to, the best of my ability. Sometimes, some of y'all be back there with them trees at, you know what I'm saying? Got to put the antenna up. Put it up. I'm trying to talk to TJ. Put the antenna. Put the antenna up. Yeah, sometimes, man, we have that bad connection issues, man. But at the end of the day, I just want to make sure everybody get an opportunity. If I get a chance later on this evening, I'll probably run back another show. I know I gotta do a couple more recordings, for other projects that I'm trying to work on. But make sure, man, tomorrow. Make sure tomorrow. Please, pretty please, check out the NFC South Roundtable. NFC South Roundtable on YouTube, please. 7 p.m. Eastern, please. Because your boy, gonna have a lot to say, man. I'm telling y'all. And don't let, do not let them Falcons lose tonight. Do you hear me? Don't let them Falcons lose tonight. That's all I got to say. If you're a Falcon fan watching this right now, I know you is, man, because you know your boy entertaining. Y'all love to hate me, okay? Y'all love to hate me. I'm the Roman Reigns of the NFC South. They love to hate me. They can't stand me, but they gotta watch me. For those that are watching today, that are watching right now, don't let your team lose tonight. Because if they do, on top of the fact, I'm telling y'all, man, Coastal Carolina beat Temple. Jackson State put them foots in Southern University. I'm sorry to all them Southern University Jaguars out there, but we speaking truth. LSU came here to Columbia and beat, even though they're the luckiest team in America, they beat South Carolina and then the Saints. Oh, my goodness. Beat the brakes off the Dallas Cowboys, man, 44-19. If the Atlanta Falcons, ladies and gentlemen, if they lose tonight, this would be one of the greatest sports weeks of my life. I'm not gonna add Tulane into that because we kind of knew what that was. We know what it was. It was Oklahoma as an SEC team. That was a tough outing for them. We kind of knew it was gonna happen that way. But all I'm saying is, if them boys lose tonight, that's all I gotta say. Icing on the cake. Yeah, man. And Grambling State won against a FCS team. Yeah, man. Shouts out to Grambling out there, man. Grambling out there beating FCS. Say, TJ, did you see that second? Yeah, I seen that. I seen that second line. Boom, 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 boom. Boy, that second line going out the stadium. JSU, baby. Yes, sir. Beating Southern 5 years in a row. A Southern Jaguar can't tell me nothing, y'all. I'm sorry. I know I'm from Louisiana, and I know some of y'all, man, TJ, man, before you know Jackson State was, you know, it's Southern and Grambling, the Bayou Classic. Yeah, that's true, man. But guess what? I am a proud member of Jackson State University, man. That's my deal college home. Don't make me start singing the alma mater song up in here. I won't do that to y'all. But hey, when your boy didn't have no home, when Hurricane Katrina wiped out your boy home in New Orleans, man, that dormitory that they opened their doors up to your boy. They opened the doors. Stewart Hall, room 214. Still remember my first dorm room number. 214. They opened their doors up for me, man. Show love to your boy. So I'm always going to have love for Jackson State University. And I definitely love when they putting them foots in Southern University. I went to Suno. Hey, my mom did too. Man. Mama went to Suno. Let's see. Thea Love. Yes, sir. Jackson Fair, Jackson Deer. Thee I love my dear old college home. Thee I love wherever I may roam. All hail to thee, Jackson State University. Falcon fans love to see New Orleans shine. I don't know about that. They be hating, boy. But they try to kick you any way they can. You know, like, you know, they'll like if you ever seen somebody like fighting and you fighting somebody that's grown and they might have a baby and a baby kicking their leg or something like that. You don't really feel the baby hits, but it's a little annoying. That's kind of like what Atlanta does, right? Like, don't hit my mama, don't hit my daddy, you know. Don't hit them. You know, like that's what they do. Like when what makes it so hilarious, folks, you know, sports fans out there, what makes it very hilarious about Atlanta Falcon fans is when they get proven wrong, it's like the funniest thing ever because they just instantly move to the next topic. You know, it's almost like Man, something stink. You stink. Nah, man, I just got out the shower, man. Smell me. They smell you. You smell good. Well, where your shoes at? Man, your shoes right there. I'm wearing some brand new ones. Smell the shoe. Man, they all fresh. Man, something stink. That's out of how they are, right? So they was like, we beat the Carolina Panthers. I'm talking Saints fans out here. They beat the Carolina Panthers, and it was like, well, you know, man, all y'all did was beat ITT Technical Institute. Okay. Then they beat the Cowboys. Now all of a sudden, man, well, y'all ain't gonna do nothing with y'all season. All I'm saying is they got some strong men, strong women over there. Cause I ain't never seen nobody just pull a goalpost out of the ground and just move it from left to right like they do. But it's funny though. It's funny because all the while, their team is not being what they want it to be. And they ready with the excuses. They ready with the excuses, folks. And I just can't stand that, man. I don't know, man. I was online. I pledged. And anybody that ever pledged a fraternity or sorority, they tell you that excuses are tools to the incompetent that build monuments and nothing. That's what they tell you. So it doesn't benefit you making excuses. If the Saints would have got beat by the Cowboys, I would have been on the NFC South Roundtable on Tuesday saying, man, it just wasn't our week. Ready to take all of the criticism that came with it. I'm not going to sit up here and make a big deal about, a loss. But now I'm hearing about Kirk Cousins' knee about to fall off, his ankle about to fall off. Like the lighting wasn't really right. I guess the light is shined down on a visor of Bijan Robinson and it blinded his face. The music tracks wasn't right. They played more New York music that day. TJ Watt, he was out there. He got the 6 Infinity Stone. All these different things. None of this stuff I heard at the beginning of the season. So that's all I'm saying. Like, it's anybody that's been online, anybody that has pledged anything, they tell you not to make excuses. And you try to apply that to your life. And nobody makes more excuses than an Atlanta Falcon fan. I've learned that, ladies and gentlemen. I ain't seen nobody make more excuses than an Atlanta Falcon fan. It's okay to just say it wasn't our day. They had our number. Nope. It's the coach's fault. It's Bijan Robinson's fault. Kirk Cousins ain't healthy. But if they just so happen to win this tonight, we back, baby. We back. Coming up out the tree. Who that? We that. Y'all blew that. Y'all blew that back in 2018. Y'all did this, that, and the third. We coming for y'all. Be ready for y'all week 4. Man, y'all better be ready. We gonna have this thing live. But when they lose, nowhere to be found. Can't find them, man. Can't find them with a flashlight. Call it all calls. Call it all calls. Looking for a fan with a red and black jersey on. Can't find them. But like I said, man, that's why I love Saints fans. That's why I love y'all, man. Yeah, we've been, man, some of us been through the storm and the rain. Still repping this team. Shouts out to all of the fans that love they team unconditionally. Shouts out to Brent for being here too. Brent Highfield being on top. The same 2 teams that have been neck and neck in the NFC South over the last couple of years. It's come down to the same 2 teams, and it's looking like the same way again. So he says, we will see. We won the South 3 years in a row. Yeah, because they're a good football team. They went to Detroit, and they won that football game. Another game I said that they were going to win. I don't think let me see. I'm trying to see. On the NFC South Roundtable, we picked the game. I don't think I picked the game wrong yet. Now, I did pick the Falcons to win, so hopefully I'm wrong about that. I will live with that. If I'm wrong about that Falcon game, I can live with that. But I said that Tampa was going to win. I said the Saints were going to win. And people said, man, TJ, you crazy, man. This dude said the Saints got a chance. Yes, I did. And not only did they have a chance, it should have been the other way around. The real rivalry is with Atlanta. Tampa Bay just so happens to be our division, LOL, but we don't think about y'all. Yeah, man, think about Tampa. they just started to get their footing, right? It's been a minute. Like they got stability there. They're drafting well. So they're kind of like just starting out. I mean, they like once upon a time they were the class of the division. Like when Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks and Rondé Barber was with the team, like they were the class of the division. I'll give them that. Like in the early 2000s, they were running things, and then all of a sudden, like they had that drop off when Josh Freeman was the quarterback and all that. They kind of like fell off. But now it's like they're working themselves up to a point where, you know, they are a formidable opponent. But I don't think like it's a rivalry of any sort. Like I just think that, you know, they just, you know, when our fan bases, you know, our teams play one another, you know, we want to see our team win, but it's not like the vitriol and the animosity that we have when it comes to the Falcons. You know, it's like on a completely different, you know, playing field there. That's cool with me. Every team on our schedule is our rival. Yeah, I mean, look, I ain't got no problem with it. Like I said, man, I don't really have no issue with Carolina Panther fans. I told y'all, man, I live in South Carolina. I live 3 hours away from Charlotte. So I meet my fair share of Carolina Panther fans. My barber is a Carolina Panther fan. You know, I told y'all, like when I went out of town to go to the first game of the season down in NOLA, you know, he told me, he's like, man, yeah, I would wish you luck, but I'm not. He said, I wish you bad luck. So I'm telling you, man, like, but it's not to a point where, you know, they understand what their team is, even when it was winning. It was never to a point like, ah, man, y'all suck, man. Take that hat off, take that jersey off. You're like, man, we just got to take it one game at a time. Like, it's them Atlanta Falcon fans that the Atlanta Falcons, the Dallas Cowboys of the South, delusional. At least the Cowboys had 5 Super Bowls. What they got? 5 excuses ready at all times about if things go wrong. That's what they got. The Cowboys got 5 Super Bowls. They got 5 excuses. That's what they got. What you think about Penning? I think Trevor Penning is playing outstanding right now. I think that they're playing to his strengths. And I mentioned that on social media. I said that I'm not happy. I'm not more happier for any other Saints player more than I am happy for Trevor Penning, because the scrutiny and by myself, hey man, y'all know he down on Mended D, you know, like hey, y'all know, you know, so it's you know, I'm happy for the man. I'm happy for him, you know. Like, I want people to understand this too. The songs that I make are not so much about my feelings in particular. I just like, I read the post of the Who Dat Nation and I create those little parody songs. You know, like, so like that's basically what I do. It's not so much my complete feelings of a player. Now, when it comes to Trevor Penning, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Like I meant every word I said. I did not see homie being salvaged at all. At all. Okay. Penning was pancaking folk yesterday. Yeah, he was. I mean, hey, man, we all know he's a mauler when it comes in the running game. Not asking him to pass protect as much. Yeah. Where is Michael Thomas? Michael Thomas is at his house somewhere. You know. I don't know, man. Hopefully, like down the line, maybe a team will call him in. Where's your prediction now, TJ? I say 13-4. I still say 10-7. I'm still gonna say 10-7. I'll still say 10-7. Let's see. Playing to Trevor's strengths, building his confidence. Yeah, and that's what you want. You don't want to ask him for too much. You know, you don't want to ask him to do too much. And I think that's what the issue was. I think that's what happened with a lot of these players. I think the Saints were asking these guys to do too much. You got this playbook that looked like the yellow pages. You know, I want to say, man, what was that? Was it Chase Daniel? Chase Daniel showed like Saints fans and you know, people like the Saints playbook. That thing looked like the yellow pages. Like that thing looked like the yellow pages for Detroit, Michigan. I gotta, because you know, some yellow pages, like the yellow, if I say the yellow pages of Vicksburg, Mississippi, no disrespect, there's not, as many people. They got a lot of people there, but not like Detroit, right? So you got to kind of put emphasis on the size of this yellow pages that I'm talking about here. It was like really, really thick. And you got to think about audibles and concepts and all that kind of stuff there. So, it's pretty, it's pretty complicated, right? And you're asking these guys to go out there and memorize all that stuff, man. You can't play free. You got somebody call something out, that had like 10, 12 words on it. You got to know what they talking about. Like, nah. It says TJ basically bullying works. Hey, sometimes it does, man. Sometimes it does. Would Daniel's son ever met Mr. Miyagi? You know what I'm saying? If he wasn't getting beat up by Cobra Kai, hey man, he learned how to paint a fence. You know what I'm saying? He rode in a classic car, and he learned how to do karate and became a karate master and won a tournament. Would he have done that if Cobra Kai wouldn't whooping his ass? I'm just saying, like, come on, man. Come on, where my Karate Kid people at? Where my Cobra Kai people at? If Laura didn't keep on like curving Steve Urkel to the left, would he have made that transformation chamber that turned him into the suave, debonair Stefan Urkel? Somebody please tell me. I guess bullying does work sometimes. But, don't bully, man. Because, I feel like, I don't want to get into that. I don't sound like the old uncle on here. I'll leave that alone. Let's see. I used to hold them in the corner heavy too. I used to have to hold them in the corner heavy too. I don't know what we talking about there. Yeah, Miss Leah, he signed his death certificate when he went to Twitter. Yeah, Michael Thomas. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people gonna look at that and be like, man, what you gonna do when things go awry? So I think the only coach that probably would have accepted him is retired now, and that's Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll don't care as long as you can ball out. TJ, shout out to Lucas Patrick too. He balling. Yeah, man, Lucas Patrick playing pretty well, man. But like I said, man, this running game is really helping out a lot of these guys. The division started with the Bucks owning the division. Y'all act like anyone else has more achievements than the Bucks. What are y'all talking about? Man, look, the Bucks just started winning last night, bro. Come on, man. We gonna pretend like y'all, man, like what, 2020 is when y'all consistently start winning again? Y'all won the championship back in 2020 during the COVID year, and y'all been winning the division for the last couple of years. I mean, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. So y'all had the championship one back in 2003, and then a bunch of down seasons after that. May have had a playoff in between there somewhere. But come on, man. It wasn't consistent. Y'all weren't consistently winning. But it's easy to front run, you know what I'm saying, when you're on top right now. But don't act like y'all just been wrecking shop. Like, nobody cared about y'all. Like, seriously. Like, nobody cared about the Bucks. Nobody was checking for the Buccaneers until 2020. Then that's when y'all started to, like, really kind of get things together. You know? Like y'all just started, like, this, in all honesty, y'all just starting to deserve respect. Y'all just starting to get respect around the National Football League. Said, look who was the world champions division and tell me we not the best franchise in the division. Y'all not the best franchise in the division. Y'all not the best franchise in the division. I wouldn't give y'all that. I mean, y'all been successful over the last couple of years. But come on, man. Like, are we going, bro, don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself, man. Please don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself, man. Let's not do this, bro. I don't want to do this to you, man. You barking up the wrong tree. Don't make me pull up y'all overall record. Don't make me pull up the Saints overall record versus y'all. Don't make me pull up the fact that y'all missed the playoffs, almost like 10 years in a row. Like, please don't let me pull that stuff up, bro. Pull it up. Don't let me pull it up, man. But you ain't about to hijack my show, dog. You know, like I said, at the end of the day, man, look, you already know. Like this to me, this to me is like you got a big brother, right? And that big brother just been pounding you and beating that, you know what I'm saying, beating you in sports, football, basketball, etc. And you small. And then over the summer, you go through a growth spurt. And then all of a sudden, like, your voice change. Man, you want to go play basketball with me, bro? Man, I go out there and put foots in you. Then you realize, dang, man, little brother, he done grew a couple of inches. You know? But that still don't defeat the fact that y'all was getting your tail whooped by a big brother all those years. Y'all, the underdogs on top right now. I give you that. Y'all look good. Look, I ain't about to criticize. I ain't about to criticize what Tampa is doing. I'm not about to criticize what Tampa is doing. They doing things the right way. They developing players. They doing some things. They keeping guys in house. They keeping the guys that they actually drafted. I'm going to respect that. But let's not make it seem like these practices were, were done every single year now. I mean, let's not pretend that. Like, it's like I said, it's easy for us to talk about what we're going to do in basketball now that we got the growth spurt. But let's not pretend like Tampa wasn't that young little kid where everybody else 6 foot tall and he trying to jump up so everybody can see him like little Bow Wow on like Mike. Y'all know, like he was trying to jump up and they had the big old tall guy. So, who is, like, come on, man. Y'all just started winning last night. Consistently. Like the Saints had the same record as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And you know what they'll say? They'll say, well, nobody expected us to do nothing. Saints had the same record. Y'all had the same record as the Saints. Saints beat y'all. Y'all beat the Saints. So I don't know, man. We flashed in 2 rings. That's great, man. That's great. That's wonderful. But y'all just thought, like, man, y'all just started winning last night. Y'all just became relevant in the National Football League last night. I don't care how many championships you got. I don't care. Who cares? Y'all only got 1 more championship than the Saints. It's not like we're talking about, oh, y'all got 6 Super Bowls or something. So what? That don't mean anything. That don't mean, like, I look, Joe Flacco has a Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP. Does that mean that he's better than Dan Marino? Does that mean he's better than Warren Moon? Does that mean that he's better than any of these other quarterbacks like a Ken Anderson or something like that? Guys that have been wrecking shop and tearing up the league. Does that mean that he's better than them? No, it does not. It does not. I will say over the last 4 years, I will concede that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been doing some really good things to improve their football team over the last 4 years. This has not been practices that they've been having for the last 2 decades like the New Orleans Saints has. So you can flaunt championships and all that kind of stuff because that's what they tell you what make you superior, because I guess, winning championships just automatically just makes you a better franchise, and it makes, all the losing that you done and all of the ass whoopings that you taken, it all just makes it, I guess it just puts you in the building, I guess. But you'll never hear me say that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a better organization than the Saints. You know how much, like, honestly, you know what you need in order for you to win football games? You need luck. You need attrition. You need all these different things. So, and you need a stable organization. It's something that Tampa just got 4 years ago when Tom Brady came through. They stole Brady away from us to get that chip. Look, I ain't knocking them for that. Get you. But let's not pretend like this organization has been, the epitome of stability. They have not. Like even I always say that, but everybody, they've had some things that fell their way. They had some things that fell their way. I just I don't know, man. I don't know. You like saying that you got 2 Super Bowls and the Saints got 1 makes you a better organization. I can't buy that. I can't buy it. There are some organizations that are ran very well. They win a lot of football games. And like I said, they probably don't get over the hump. But like I said, that don't tell you that doesn't make it, that don't make you superior. That don't make you superior. It does not. Dude, pump the brakes. We only 2 games in. Bro, that other ring was from so long ago. I was in middle school, elementary school when y'all got that. Look at 98 on that 2003 team. That's my cousin. Well, look, man, like I ain't knocking them. Like they got 2 championships. Look, everything you saying is true, but like I said, it's championships doesn't make you superior. It doesn't. Like it makes you feel good as an onlooker, as a fan, if you're going at another rival team, to flaunt the ring in front of them, like something that eludes them. But that don't mean that. Look, when I talk about the Falcons, I'm telling y'all, I don't even have to use the ring thing. I don't even have to say 28-3. Like the Saints have been tearing these boys up over the last 2 decades. The New Orleans Saints have practiced like better things in their front office than Atlanta has. And then when you get on the field, like, come on, man. So you ain't even got to bring that up. Like, so when I talk about stability, I don't just mean like, oh, we just got a Super Bowl championship. That doesn't make you stable. I mean, would you call Philadelphia stable right now? They got a championship over the last like couple of years. What they won in 2017? And right now, they up here figuring out if Nick Sirianni, a guy who took them to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, is the answer. Championships don't mean stability, folks. Winning championships don't make you great. It just makes you remembered. Like, you will always be remembered if you won a Super Bowl. So, but that don't mean, Dan Marino, greatest quarterback in my opinion, and never won a Super Bowl. He gonna be remembered, but Joe Flacco will too. Joe Flacco, but like I said, that doesn't mean he's better. I'm gonna read these donations, then we're gonna get up out of here. As bad as Carmichael and Carr actions, the emotions still not kept in check. We were more upset about that and the lack of accountability right now. He's playing well. And the Saints love him. Yeah, man, you gotta call guys out. You gotta hold them accountable. And I feel like that was a practice that was lacking from the New Orleans Saints during that time. That added to it. That added to it, man. So, like I said, man, some of the criticisms I feel like are justified, but you should always be willing to be open to a person's change. We all aren't the same people that we once were, right? We all weren't the people we once were. Like, for example, my guy, Real Talk Perez. He probably wouldn't be up in here if this was 2019. He wouldn't be up in here talking this salty if it was 2019. But now that his team has done some things, won some championships, and winning the division, now he's up in this thing, right? So, time brings on a change. So we got to be able to accept that. We got to be willing to roll with that, right? And, if he goes out there and he plays well throughout the season, win this division, go to the playoffs, I guarantee you a lot of Saints fans will get on his bandwagon. TJ, after watching us play these first 2 games, I'm changing my preseason prediction to 11-6 to 13-4. Okay, that's great, man. I still got 10-7. I still got 10-7, man. I ain't gonna change it yet. I ain't gonna change it. New to the channel and it's dope. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that, man. We try to be entertaining. We try to be informative. We try to keep it very interactive, as you can see, man. Everybody is somebody here, unless your name is nobody. which I don't think nobody's name is nobody. So everybody's a somebody here. Let's see, bro. I've had my YouTube channel since 2012. Forget. LOL. Nah, I didn't forget. I just didn't know that. You know, be honest with you. I didn't know that. Let's see. That's okay. I can wait until we play them Saints. Win, lose, or draw, I will be right here. Blew them out last time we played. Yuck, suck, Pampers, State, Falcons ain't the Saints, no matter how much y'all want to be. Let's see. That's like saying Buffalo wasn't a good team when they went to 4 straight Super Bowls back in the day. Yeah, I mean, look, I think those were really great teams. They just couldn't get over the hump. They had that K gun that they brought there. Really, really good offense, man. Really good offense right there. Pampa State dunk is crazy. Yeah, he came up with the name. TJ, I'm in the subway on my way home from Philly. These Eagle fans dapping me up in my Mike T jersey for killing the arch rivals. They steal some haters most of the time, though. Yeah, man. Look, I would expect that, but let's see if they're gonna be dapping you up next week if the Saints beat the Eagles. Let's see, TJ. I wish we have gotten a new offensive coordinator last season. Yeah, me too. I wish they would have got one the first year. Like first year, they brought Dennis Allen here. We probably would be more excited about our football team. Let's see. Do you know who this is? LOL. You were on my channel before. We also did a show with Big Sports Talk. LOL. Mike and DJ. Yeah, I remember that. But I don't. Bro, I'm gonna be honest with you, real talk. I didn't know that much about you, man. Like, at the time, I didn't. You know, like I didn't know that much about you. Like I didn't. You know what I'm saying? I just at the time, you know, like. You know, somebody, you know, reached out to me and asked me to be on the show, and we was talking like rivals and stuff like that. I didn't know. Like I didn't really do my homework as far as like knowing how long you did your channel and stuff like that. I do remember that. But I didn't like go back and see how long you were actually doing. I don't even think I asked you that day. But I know who you are. Yeah, I know who you are. Says Saints struggle against Eagles. Might be first loss of the season. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think that's gonna be a tougher matchup for them. I think it's gonna be a tough matchup for them. Yeah, I remember you real talk. Like I'm not trying. Like I just didn't know how long. You know, I just didn't know how long you was doing your channel. Like I'm pretty sure you probably don't know how long I was doing my channel. But it just kind of like I was just like, man, this dude was doing the channels. I thought you had good content, thought you were funny and witty and informative. At what I seen, but I didn't. Like I said, I didn't. I didn't go back and be like, dang, that was the channel. Just because your credit doesn't always mean you're responsible. If I throw a ball perfectly to you, you get both hands on it and then drop it. Or tip it up and it get picked, is that my fault? I mean, if you throw a perfectly good pass, yeah, of course, it pop up in the air, it's the receiver fault. TJ, our guy T-Bob Bay Bear really said he's going to cop a Penning jersey. Which player drafted in the last 3 years would you get if you were to buy one? I honestly don't really. I really honestly don't buy jerseys, man. I'm not a real big jersey person. I buy jerseys for passion and stuff like that, man. But if I was to get a jersey, probably if I was to get a jersey, it'd probably be like somebody like Kamara or my guy Ryan Ramchick, right? I would buy a jersey of a person like that's been established with the team. Like I'll be kind of skeptical about buying like jerseys of people. Like I'm not trying to knock anybody for doing this, but people that's actually still on the team, or been here for a short period of time. Like Like been here for a short period of time. Like if you're a mainstay, like Cam or something, I get it. DeMario, I get it. AK, I get it. Even though there's a chance where, those guys may end up going somewhere else. I mean, they basically created their legacy with the New Orleans Saints. So it'd have to be somebody like that. I couldn't really get nobody that just came through the door. I think, you got to be at least about, you got to at least be one contract in, like one contract extension in. Like they picked up your 5th-year option and you still with the team. I got a Jameis Winston jersey last year, but ain't nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I'm just looking at it from my perspective. Like this is what I think. Like there's no right or wrong about this. There's no right or wrong about what I'm saying right now. Like some people prefer apples, some people prefer oranges, some people prefer grapes. Like there's no right or wrong about that. Let's see. I think that's basically it, man. But I want to say thank you to everybody that checked out the Gumbo Pod and the State of the Saints podcast. Like I said, we're a very interactive podcast. If you have not subscribed to the Gumbo Pod, please do. Help that channel to grow. I'm gonna try to be back there tonight. If not, then I'm gonna do a pre-recording of the Falcons versus Philadelphia Eagles game. Go ahead and break that down. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. And my shouts out to my guy Real Talk Perez, man. Make sure y'all do subscribe to the channel. And like you say, I know, like, dude, he talks Tampa. I know he's out there on the West Coast, if I'm not mistaken. But very, very informative dude, very passionate about his Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as y'all can see, willing to go to war, willing to stand on the front line, try to fire the cannon. But nah, man, look, I'm appreciative of everybody that stopped by. Shouts out to Brent. Shouts out to my guy Red Swarm who support the Falcons. Look, man, I told y'all, man, it's all love here. The only difference is, like, we just support different teams, but we all, want our team to be successful. We all love football at the end of the day. Shouts out to all the sports fans out here on the Gumbo Pod Sports Podcast. We'll be there later on in the week. I got some things I'm trying to work on right now. Might be bringing a Coastal Carolina podcast to the YouTube channel pretty soon. I tried to do the 2 till. I tried to get some things in together, but I was actually going to be doing it with someone to kind of take over that channel. But if things go right, then I'm probably going to be doing these Coastal Carolina podcasts and Sunbelt. So if you're into like Sunbelt football, I know people, ULL out there, Louisiana Lafayette, Louisiana Monroe, USM. So going to be talking Sunbelt football and mostly Coastal Carolina. So probably going to be working on that. Y'all know, some of y'all know I write for Coastal Carolina. They had a big victory over Temple. Got opportunity to kind of speak with the coaches and stuff like that after the game. So, man, things might change up a little bit. I got to see. I might, even get to a point where I'm actually traveling with the team. I don't know. It probably, if I'll be, in a few weeks. So I got to see. It all depends on how things work out. But I'll keep y'all posted on that. Let y'all know how that's going to go. Also, NFC South Roundtable that is available right now. YouTube.com, search NFC South Roundtable. Real Talk Perez, man. I think you might want to subscribe to that channel right there, man. Got your boy, got my boy Mr. Bucks Nation over there, James. He represents the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over there. Shouts out to all the Who Dat Nation members that have subscribed to that channel. Be on there 7 p.m. every Tuesday. I enjoy doing that show, man, because I enjoy doing that because I feel like it brings out a different side of me that some people don't really know. I can, I try to be as entertaining as possible on the State of the Saints, but I kind of turn up the volume a little bit over there. So I enjoy having a good time, having fun every single week. 7 p.m. Eastern, NFC South Roundtable. Follow me on X at TJAY Jones 8. And Thank you all so much for your love and your support. I got to do this once again. Shouts out to the people that ain't here. I gave you a 2-hour episode, ladies and gentlemen. Shouts out to them after show.
Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys.
Out to all the after show boys, after show girls out there. This has been the Gumbo Pod Sports Podcast, as well as the State of the Saints Podcast. Subscribe to both channels. And since we hit the intro for the Gumbo Pod, it's only right that we hit State of the Saints going towards the end. Till next time, I'll see you down the road for all the Gumbo Pod Sports podcasters out there. And for my State of the Saints Podcast family, till next time, all I got to say is, who that?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.